Yeah, what's going on, guys? So you guys probably noticed I haven't really been making any videos recently in like the past month or two. And that's really due to me just being pretty burnt out on Ironsight, and I didn't really want to even spend time playing the game or make any videos ever since the cruise update, which was pretty disappointing as well. I just haven't really played Ironsight at all, really. I've been playing a little bit of Fortnite, but even that, it's not that fun of a game anymore. I'm pretty burnt out on that as well. So I've really just been waiting for Call of Duty to come out to play that and grind that out. Call of Duty really is like my bread and butter. I feel like I've said that a lot, but Call of Duty is where I started at, and it's where I usually end up towards the end of the year when games start getting more boring. Call of Duty has been something that I played since World at War, like 8 years ago or something. It's just a game that I can sit there and play for hours and hours for months and months, and I don't get sick of it because there's always stuff for me to do, and it's really just a game that I enjoy playing, where there's so many different things that you can do, like league play and multiplayer. And with the addition of Blackout, that's obviously going to add some more different elements of variety into the game. But I do want to make this video to cover what I think went wrong with Ironsight over the course of the months that I did play it, because I honestly really had a lot of hope for the game, I guess. There was a lot of things that I thought were really good ideas that the community were coming up with, that I came up with, and I even, messaged them and sent it to them. But obviously nothing was ever added, really. The most content I think that we've gotten, really, since I started playing was Ironwork, the map downtown, that downtown update with a new game mode, and the cruise update, which was pretty much reverted because the netcode was fucked up from that as well. But I wanna cover some things, and maybe it'll get to the Ironsight team, and they can get a whole list of ideas and issues with the game that they will work on and eventually fix, because I do think Ironsight is a fun game, and I do think there is a place for it when it gets polished. So some things that I think they needed to implement, like earlier into the game, was obviously fixing the netcode. That's an issue that they know about, so I feel like it's sort of redundant for me to say it, but the netcode should have been fixed months back. It was too big of an issue to allow the game to continue on with very little communication between the developers and the community. Overall, I think it is what sort of brought down the game and was sort of the downfall overall of Ironsight. There also were very little changes to the gameplay, so the meta was the same basically for the whole time that I played the game. It really was just a SMG meta, AR-57, Scar H, the Blazer, until it got nerfed, obviously. There were just very little changes to the guns overall. The AR-57 was not nerfed enough for how powerful it was. We're sitting here getting two-shotted by an AR-57 from mid-map. It's not fun to play. Overall, the maps that they introduced, I feel like the ideas that they had were actually pretty good, but the execution was poor. And it seems really mean. I'm not trying to like roast them or anything, but it didn't work with how the game was set up in its current state. The maps, the downtown, Ironwork, Cruise is alright, because Cruise is just like another basic map, but the downtown update really was something that could have boosted the popularity of the game, because at that point a lot of YouTubers who were bigger were starting to cover the game, and obviously it put a lot of people who have never heard of the game to download it. And with that happening around the same time as the downtown update, and then they played the downtown thinking, oh, some cool new content was added, only for it to be, it wasn't fun. I made a video about it already. You can watch it if you want, if you haven't seen it. But basically the downtown update was, in my opinion, a very large failure. Now I know the developers are trying. It's not like I'm sitting here trying to roast them, but I do think that they need to hear what went wrong with their game, especially with the release of Black Ops 4, which I think will be taking a lot of the player base with it. I know there's going to be some people who are going to be like, fuck you, what do you mean? Ironsight's a free to play, how could it take any of the player base? But there will be the people like me, I'm not the only person who will be, sort of removing Ironsight from the possibility of being played for Black Ops 4, which already has a polished multiplayer with good netcode. 2 other game modes, Zombies and Blackout, which a lot of people do like playing, even though I'm not a big fan of Zombies, nor am I a huge fan of Battle Royale. I did play both the multiplayer and the Blackout beta, and I did have actually a lot of fun, which usually it's pretty rare for me to have fun on a new Battle Royale. I played a couple before, and it's really hard for me to get into Battle Royale, but I actually had a lot of fun in it. Going more into the community issues with the game, the community overall is extremely toxic, which I don't want to blame Area 100% for this, but they do have to take some of the blame because, the community being toxic is also part of them not monitoring the community correctly. And I know they tried adding another filter into the game for profanity, which it didn't work, obviously. If you go into the game right now, I'm sure you will be harassed by a bunch of young kids just, popping off because they can, treating it like it's some unmonitored Twitch chat. Overall, the community is very negative, and people can just bypass the word filter. There's a lot of just racism in there, and it just makes me laugh because it's a free-to-play game, and I understand, that they're not from America, the developers, that is, but I feel like it's a fairly simple thing to not mess up a word filter if you're developing a game, and it was never fixed. Over the months, I've even mentioned it to them on one of their Reddit posts. They asked for like community, I don't know, a response from the community or something like that, and I mentioned you need to fix the profanity filter because bigger channels aren't going to want to support the game if they hop in and just see people spamming the N-word or calling each other like, I don't know, some ass cucks or something just completely asinine and dumb. And also a big part of the amount of players in the game was due to the servers, obviously. I'm not talking about the netcode or issues with the game dying behind walls and stuff. I'm talking about the amount of servers. I constantly have seen people, when I used to follow like the subreddit more, I would see people from Asia or Africa or something, or even Brazil. When they added the Brazilian server, it still didn't work for them, and that's just, it's not good. Like you're really canceling off a good portion of your player base just by not having the servers in there. And I understand it's probably not a cheap thing, but that is definitely a big issue that is affecting a lot of people. And even me, I'm on the West Coast, and I think the server is in like South Carolina or something, somewhere in the eastern side of the US, and I never really got under 120 ping. So I imagine someone who's trying to connect from a different part of the US who maybe doesn't have as strong an internet as the people who live on the West Coast do. I would assume that they're struggling a lot more to get a solid connection in the game and play fairly against everyone else. And also, I know it's a beta, so I'm not really going to harp on this too much, but the limited amount of content, progression-wise that is, the same 30 days, 30-day rewards progress every time. It's all the same. There's nothing really to progress for when you log in daily. You get guns for like a few days and then they disappear, and then you're out of luck. You wait the next rotation. There's no way to get the guns that you actually want besides getting lucky. So I've always wanted the Chapeau P90, but the only way to get that was with the Fire Monkey AR-57, which my luck on boxes in any game, literally any game, is absolutely terrible. And for me to want a gun so bad only to have to hope to get the other gun that you need to unlock it is just sort of ridiculous in my opinion. But I understand it's a beta and it's a free-to-play game, so I'm not really going to complain about that much because they do have to make money somehow. But in my opinion, I didn't even think buying the boxes was really worth it, because I'd have to hope to get the specific gun, specific camo out of the hundreds of items that you possibly could get, including outfits and different camos for specific scopes. It was just, I didn't feel like I could have earned the weapon that I really wanted. Now overall, Ironsight does have a lot of promise in it. There was a good chance that a lot of people could go back to the game once more of the issues are fixed. But I think the first thing that they need to do is, one, fix the netcode, obviously, which they're working on, I understand. It's probably not an easy thing to fix. Adding more content, obviously. There's little to do in the game. There's only really 4 game modes. I'm not going to count the downtown because that's a whole separate map. You only get the one map, and it gets repetitive after a certain point. It's just sort of one-sided. More content and more unlockables, in my opinion. I think that more things need to be progressed for the game to actually survive when it gets closer to like a full release, if they're still planning on doing that. And the game would need to come out on Steam, because once it comes out on Steam and all the big channels are seeing this new free-to-play shooter called Ironsight, I think that it would pick up a lot of players and could possibly steal the thunder from Black Ops 4, but I highly doubt that, only because Black Ops 4 is so big and it has so much marketing behind it. But I do think that some players who maybe can't afford Black Ops 4, it's a $60 game, maybe they would go over to Ironsight and try it out just to see how it is, because it's free, so what do they lose? I know the developer, one of the developers from area, responded to my comment on Black Ops 4, on the Black Ops 4 subreddit a few months ago, and we were just talking about, it was something about Black Ops 4 being, you know, $60 and Ironsight being free to play, but the difference is that you're paying $60 for a finished and polished product compared to an unfinished and unpolished product, which is free. So it's really, you know, it could go either way. It really depends on what the person wants and how much money the person has to spend on video games. It really isn't one of those things where, you know, the community is going to be half and half on Ironsight and half on Call of Duty. I don't think it'll ever be like that, just because of the marketing. And obviously Call of Duty is a brand, it's a name everybody knows. Ironsight area games is not really something that anybody knows besides the people who have, you know, looked into Ironsight and have seen people's videos on it. Overall, I do think Ironsight it's a pretty fun game. Like, when I first started playing it, I was addicted to it, and I just spent, you know, days and days grinding on Twitch and streaming and playing, and I have at least 200 hours in the game. So I spent a good amount of time playing over the few months that I, you know, was on it and streaming. But I kind of burnt myself out, which is also partly my fault, but partly not, because there just wasn't enough content to keep me interested in the game. And, you know, the 2 updates that I was waiting on, the downtown update, which I was super excited for, as well as the cruise update, which I was super hyped for because the netcode fix was supposed to be there, they both kind of flopped in my opinion, and I'm kind of disappointed. But Black Ops 4 is coming, and I was gonna leave for that anyways. Black Ops 4 is Call of Duty is just a game that I never skip. Every year I just grind it out. Last year I hit top 30 in the leaderboards, and I'm hoping to do the same on PC this time and really just grind out my prestiges. That's it for this one. I'm gonna be trying to upload and stream pretty much all next weekend, or all of this weekend actually, for Black Ops 4. I only work on Fridays, so I will definitely be streaming, and I'm gonna be thinking of video ideas and uploading some highlights from here and some like live commentaries, as well as maybe some videos where I just do something like this, where I just talk about the game and my thoughts and whatnot. So thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.